All right, good morning and welcome to the 2025 Lewis Crossover. We are live here from the campus of Lewis University here in Romeoville, Illinois. We got some pretty great weather and some pretty great races here on the slate today. First up, our women's race will be starting here in about 5 minutes, 9:45. And we got a great race ahead, folks. Yeah, so we have about 60 degrees, no clouds up in the sky. About as good of weather as you could ask for. Slight breeze, but these runners have ran in much worse. So our women's race, though, will be the first one starting. And we currently have 9 nationally ranked teams in the coaches poll. And that's a pretty loaded race. And then on our men's side, we have, I believe, 12 nationally ranked teams in the coaches poll. And you can see right now all our runners lined up. And so getting into some of the teams to watch for, the highest ranked team we have on the women's side is the host team, Lewis. They're ranked number 9, and they're ranked 3rd in the Midwest region. And, you know, this is their home course, so they're looking to have a good day today. They're led by Josephine Bover and Mary Edwards, the fifth-year senior and the junior. Edwards is following a great outdoor track season where she made nationals in the steeplechase, and Bover finished 43rd at last year's nationals. So they will be our team to watch for, projected to win this race. And then our second team in the rankings is number 10, Walsh, followed by number 11, Fort Lewis. And Walsh is also a Midwest team, so that'll be an interesting showdown to see between 2 Midwest regional teams squaring off here, and especially important since they're ranked 3rd and 4th. And then Fort Lewis out of the South Central region, which is always very competitive, so that'll be a very interesting one to watch as we see final strides being taken, and these girls are getting loose and getting ready to get started here. But yeah, Fort Lewis is out of the South, which is a very competitive and loaded region. If you're familiar with the regionals, Adams State, Colorado Christian, School of Mines, West Texas A&M, there are a lot of very good teams in that region. So for them, they're ranked 6th in their own region, and they're the number 11 team in the country. So getting some out-of-region wins here is going to be very crucial for them. And Fort Lewis is led by Hannah Hartwell, which on our individuals to watch and on the Stride Report is the projected winner of this field. Last year, she was 5th at the D2 Nationals XC race, so she's coming off of a very good season. And then in the outdoor 10K last year, or 2 years ago, in the outdoor 10, she took 5th as well. So she's very good in this type of environment, and she's looking to capture a victory here for her team and help them in the team race as well. And then our other individual here to watch is we're about to get started, Irish Molina from Chico State all the way out in California. Last year, she was coming off of a track season where she finished 5th, and she's a multiple-time All-American as well in cross-country, finishing 24th and 31st. So in the Chico State women, I believe, are ranked 15th out of the West region. So we're on the line now, about to get started here any minute now. And we've got a good crowd here as these runners will start going uphill, and then it's a pretty flat course after that. And a lot of our fans are starting to line the top of this hill up here. You can see some men's teams starting to warm up. And yeah, it's important to get out of the gate hard here as they're off. Everyone will be fighting for positioning here as once you get to the top of the hill, it starts to narrow out a little bit. And we'll have live results as well once we start hitting some of these splits. And yeah, you know, it's definitely tough having to start going up a pretty steep hill, but once things really get going, it'll be flat and smooth after that. And they're making their way up now. And they'll be making their way down into the dip, and we've switched to our cart cam now. And they look like they're out quick, and it is packed so far. And now they'll be making their way out to the backside of the course. And this 6K course just loops around the back. It's tough to spectate out there, so we'll see it get pretty empty once we get out there a little farther.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Lines. Watch out.
And once we get some splits, we'll be able to get more names out there.
Skibbity toilet.
And back to looking into some of the teams that we'll be watching throughout here. So we just talked about Fort Lewis. Pitt State is ranked 14th out of the Central region, or they're 14th and out of the Central region, ranked second in their region. Chico State, like I mentioned earlier, number 20 Tampa, number 28 Colorado Mesa, number 29 Palm Beach Atlantic, and number 30 Colorado Christian. So where this really starts to become an interesting race to watch for those that aren't familiar with how the national meets work, this is really the first time of the year where a lot of these teams are getting to square off across the regionals. And the way nationals works is there's 8 regionals, and the top 3 in each region get automatic qualifiers to the national meet, and those regionals will be in about a month from today. And then if you are not in the top 3, there are still 10 at-large bids, and your at-large bids come from your in-season resume. So head-to-head wins and out-of-region teams is very crucial. So that's why a lot of these schools are coming in today, and you'll see, I mean, you know, we look through here, 9, 10, 11, 14, 15, 20, 28, 29, 30. These are all schools that could potentially be looking at a 4th place finish, a 5th place finish in their region, and having their resumes strong and bolstered with out-of-region wins is going to be crucial to getting an at-large spot at the national meet. And this is really the first time in the season, like I said earlier, that we get to start seeing some of these schools square off. So I'm sure these rankings will shake up a lot after this weekend. And once we get going here, it looks like the leaders have kind of been caught up a little bit. And we've got schools from all over the nation here today. We've got Alaska Anchorage, Alaska. We've got California schools here. We've got Florida. So we've got a lot of regions represented very well and very strong today. And like I was talking about earlier, that South Central region is going to be very loaded like it always is. So getting some wins here for Fort Lewis would be huge. And then as well, like Colorado Mesa, ranked 8th in their own region. It's tough to make it out of that region. You have a lot of the big players, a lot of great programs out there. But you couldn't really ask for much better weather. I expect that there will be some very fast times though now today in both races. Yeah, there should be some pretty fast times, and now they've rounded the way here, kind of on this back long straightaways on this back part of the course, so it can be really tough and really deceiving. There's a slight incline, but not much at all. It's important to run good tangents and stay on the inside part of this course. And it looks like we are starting, no, maybe not. We might have a little bit longer until we start getting some splits in on our live results. but they are out quick. And I believe that's a Fort Lewis jersey out in our leader. And if so, that would be Hannah Hartwell, but we will confirm when the live results come out. And our women will be racing 6K today. You can see a plane landing in the background there. We are on the campus of the Lewis Flyers. You can kind of hear the wind gusting a little bit. It is starting to pick up a bit. But there's certainly been windier days at this crossover meet. This is about the best weather that I can remember having for a crossover. We apologize, the course can get pretty bumpy, so sometimes the camera might struggle a bit here. But they should be coming up to a split here any moment now. Hopefully start to get some live results start to populate. It seems that we've had our two leaders kind of break away from the rest of the pack. And some of these, ignore those first couple names, but it appears our first real splits are coming from Grace Riddle and Hannah Hartwell. And then we have Walsh, Chico State, Pitt State, Maddie Miller from Illinois Springfield in the GLVC. And then if we look at our team standings, some of those are still populating a little bit. But it appears that Chico State is our lead team, and then followed by Lewis and Walsh right behind them. I believe if you're looking at the live results, the Alaska ones in there, I don't think are correct. It appears that it's populating some of their men for some reason. But Grace Riddle from Michigan Tech appears to be our leader with Hannah Hartwell. And you can see they're making their way kind of back through this middle part of the course, and then they'll head out to the newly renovated part of the course here. We have added in a new soccer field in the back, so they've had to change the course a little bit. That was new last year, so some of these athletes have probably already seen it. The Midwest athletes definitely have, because our regional was here last year. So new to some, a little more windy, not as long straights, but some athletes probably like that. Long straights can be very easy to settle and not continue to push, but extra turns also make you run a little slower, so it's important to keep on the gas here for these women. And I think Riddle, it looks like Hartwell is in the lead now. They're making their way on through. Probably over halfway done with this race to this point. Now they're going to be making their way back through here. And the race has certainly thinned out from the very heavy pack that we had at the start. as to be expected. And they should be hitting the 3K split. That should be populating here soon. But it's a 2-competitor race right now. You know, this can be a good Nationals preview here. You know, coming out of this race, we get to start seeing who maybe we've been overlooking and who are real contenders for the national and regional stage here in about a month. And this is really when teams are starting to come into fitness. You know, early season, we see a lot of people maybe not race at all, or maybe race, you know, at a D1 meet or race against some D3 teams. So this is really the first time that we get to see D2 going head-to-head here. And the rankings will certainly be changing a lot. And then 2 weeks from now, we'll be heading into most conferences, meets. And championship season will be upon us before we know it. And it looks like team results are switching up a little bit here, but it looks like we're seeing Chloe Smith from Flagler. I believe that might not be correct, but and they're making their way now through. Still got a 2 in the lead here. Be interesting to see if one's going to throw in a surge at some point to try and shake them. But that appears to be Hartwell. Just ever so slightly ahead. And it's a little tough to see who that chase pack is, but it looks like there's about 4 or so competitors a couple meters back. They're not out of it yet. Trying to reel them back in. But it'll be tough as they're on this back end of the course, and then they'll make one more turn onto this long straightaway, and then they'll be heading back in towards the finish here. And they're rounding the turn now. A little bit of a gap is starting to form, but nothing too noteworthy. Not enough to shake her. And they're heading back on this long straightaway now. We might be able to get a new split coming in. But we'll see. Not right now, at least. You know, during this part of the race, it can kind of feel like you're out there by yourself because, again, like I said earlier, besides the few spectators we can see on the left of our screen, it's pretty difficult to get out there. A lot of our spectators kind of hang around the middle here as they're starting to line the final straightaway to cheer on our racers here. You know, you're starting to get to the part of the race where you're getting tired legs. This is really where you're going to see moves start to be made. And those are our last final split that we caught. We'll see if it stands to be correct, then Western Washington is our leader, followed by Tampa and Biola. And that Walsh, I believe, is Claire Rethman. We're having a little bit. Oh, it looks like we're cutting back in here. We still got a pretty good race on our hands. There's not much left. They're making their way down this back part, and then they're going to make one last turn and head in our final chute. And there's a lot of fans here today, bringing a lot of energy all across the country. Very dedicated group. But this race is far from over between these two. But it looks like she's starting to pull away ever so slightly. This might come down right to the wire. It looks like we're starting to get some splits coming in here on the team results as well. Oh, and that is, yes, Claire Rethman. Claire Rethman and Hannah Hartwell, like we suspected. And then it appears to be Hannah Gibson from Pittsburgh State, followed by Irish Molina from Chico, and Paige Mullen from Pitt State as well. So the two Pitt State teammates delivering some low scores for their team. And then Bethany Mapes from Biola, followed by Mary Edwards and Josephine Bover by Lewis. And Madeline Reeves from Point Loma and Maddie Miller round out our top 10. And they're making their way in now. It looks like Hartwell's started to form just a bit of a lead, but it is not over, and they're really going to start wheeling it down here. This is shaping up to be a great finish. And these fans are bringing them home. It looks like Hartwell's started to open up a big gap. We'll see if Rethman has anything left in the tank to respond. Making their way down the final stretch now. They'll be headed downhill. But if things stand, it looks like Hannah Hartwell is going to be your 2025 Lewis Crossover champion. But not yet. And that's Rethman from Walsh, and they're headed down the hill now. It's important to stay on their feet. And she makes her way around the last bend here. And Hannah Hartwell from Fort Lewis will take the win. But Rethman's kicking it in hard. It might come right down to the line. And oh my goodness, I cannot tell who won that. What a finish. Counted Rethman out and she responded. What an individual finish. And now we'll see what happens here in the team race. as our finishers make their way through. And that looks like Molina just came through. And that looks like Paige Mullen finishing up there. And in the team race, it is tightly packed, so we're going to be seeing a lot of shuffling in the standings going on through here. And Edwards finishes out. It looks like Josephine Bober, her teammate, finishing strong. And I suspect we're going to see some pretty fast times once they start populating. And again, now it comes down to the team race. The standings are going to shuffle a lot. You know, we got to get these 4s and 5s in. They matter just as much as your top runner. And it looks like still not seeing anything yet for our live results on these finishing spots. But we probably have seen many teams sending their 4s and 5s through right now. And I suspect it was a very fast day today. It was perfect weather for the occasion. And again, just for those who missed it, we have 9 nationally ranked teams on the coaches poll here today. And if things played out to how the rankings would go, our top 3 would be Lewis, Walsh, and Fort Lewis. Not to be confused. Those are 2 different schools. But we'll see. There was 2 Pitt State girls very high up, and that could certainly help them. And it looks like at the last split that we had, their number 3 was in the top 20 as well. So it really comes down to if they can have a 4th and a 5th runner get to that line, then they might shake things up in the standings. And it looks like we are starting to get some sort of standings, but I think that's still, I'm not sure if that's a final or not. But at our last split, it appears to be Chico State, Lewis, and Biola jumping up. And again, heading into this, I'm not sure Biola was ranked, at least in the coaches poll. I might be mistaken, but I don't think they were. Be an absolutely massive day for them if they were able to hold on to this. Picking up some crucial out-of-region wins. And we'll see. I mean, Walsh had very high individual as well with Claire Rethman. We saw that nail-biter of a finish. But did her teammates hold up their end of the bargain? We'll see. As we see more of our finishers coming down the chute now. You know, this is a downhill finish, so we start to see, you know, people trying to stay on their feet and carry their momentum through the line. I'm not sure if we've gotten our final result to populate yet. And they should be. Still not 100% sure, but if things held up from the last split, Chico State would have taken the win, but that's yet to be confirmed. And don't go anywhere after this. At 10:30, our men's race will be kicking off. We've still got some runners finishing up here, but the men will be racing an 8K. And we've got a pretty loaded field on that side as well. And our women really started us off strong here with an absolutely electric finish in the individual race. And it looks like the team race is going to come down to the wire as well. And just beautiful weather to run. Couldn't ask for much better than this. And it'll be interesting. In about a month from now, we'll have regionals starting out, and it might be a lot colder. And nationals this year is in Wisconsin, so these runners better enjoy the great weather while they can, because it might be snowy for nationals. Got a couple more finishing strong here. Still not seeing our final results populate, but my screen might just not be refreshing. Got a few more finishing out here. A lot of athletes probably setting PRs today in the 6K. Of course, that's set up to go fast. Coming down the big hill that they start up on. A big running weekend in Chicago this weekend. We're about an hour out of the city right now. Tomorrow the Chicago Marathon will go off, and I'm sure they're hoping that the weather holds like this. See some fast times out in the streets of Chicago tomorrow. But as far as we're concerned, the biggest meet of the weekend is right here on the campus of Lewis. They just had a very entertaining women's race and a few more finishing out here. You can see on our bottom screen here some of our men warming up and getting ready. About 15 minutes out from race time for them. And it'll be just as crowded. There's only 2 races this year. Last year, we had open races for both the men's and women's fields. This year, we're packing them all into one. So we'll see a pretty crowded start. A lot of teams in their huddles right now getting their spikes on. Got just a few more out on the course, it seems. Everyone kind of makes their way back towards the start. Getting ready to cheer on these last few competitors and then bring some energy for the guys' race as well. And for those that will be looking for that stream, it'll be starting up momentarily on a different stream, so be looking out for that. Just to recap, it looked like in our final finish, Hannah Hartwell had a commanding lead down the final stretch, but Claire Rethman from Walsh turned it on down the final chute. Even I was counting her out. It looks like it came down to the line, and I'm still not sure. It looked like Rethman might have got her at the line, but it was close. It'd be a very entertaining race and could be an interesting rematch to watch on the national stage. Both of them All-American probables and hopefuls to be in the top 5. We'll see. Hartwell's already done it once. And on our team side, we had a very close race. Again, the last splits that we have, Chico State was leading, followed by Lewis, Biola, Pitt State, Western Washington to round out the top 5. And again, those team standings are not final, but will be very consequential to where we see these teams in a month from now at the regional, because if you finish 4th, you need these out-of-region wins, so they're very, very crucial. And we'll see, this could end up being the difference for some teams continuing their seasons to nationals and some teams potentially being done at the regional. But we saw a lot of great racing today, and we have a lot more great racing to go. Again, the men's race will be starting in about 12 minutes at 10:30, and you can find us on the new stream will be starting up. So again, thank you for joining us here at the Lewis Crossover, and we'll be with you in about 12 more minutes.